Abandonment. In the small, unremarkable town of Maplewood, nestled in the heart of Middle America, life unfolded at a steady pace, oblivious to the remarkable stories waiting to be told. It was here, in this seemingly mundane setting, that a profound tale of abandonment, resilience, and redemption was about to take shape. Ethan Foster was born under circumstances that would define his existence long before he had the chance to define himself. From the moment he drew his first breath, the world seemed to conspire against him. Ethan was born with a severe facial deformity resulting from a rare genetic condition that affected the development of his skull and facial features. While most parents welcome the birth of a child with joy and dreams, Ethan's parents, Robert and Linda Foster, faced a stark reality that would test their character and love. Robert Foster, a successful real estate agent with aspirations for local politics, had always been concerned with appearances. He envisioned a future where his family embodied the ideal of perfection, a facade carefully curated for the sake of reputation. To Robert, Ethan was not just a son. He was a blemish on his carefully painted image. Linda, a former beauty queen who reveled in the limelight of social events and charity galas, found herself grappling with the stark contrast between her glamorous past and the harsh reality of raising a child whose appearance would invite judgment rather than admiration. As the weeks turned into months, Robert and Linda began to see Ethan not as a child to be cherished, but as a burden that threatened to derail their plans for success. They couldn't bear the pitying looks and hushed whispers of their friends and acquaintances. In a town that thrived on appearances, the Foster family quickly became a source of speculation, and their son, a subject of ridicule. Instead of embracing their child and nurturing him through the challenges he faced, they succumbed to fear and shame, allowing their aspirations to overshadow their parental instincts. When Ethan turned 5, the unthinkable decision was made. Under the cover of night, shrouded in shame and guilt, Robert and Linda drove their son to a children's home 2 states away. The journey was punctuated by the sound of Ethan's innocent questions, filled with the naive hope that his parents were taking him on an adventure. "Where are we going, Mommy? Is it a surprise?" he asked, oblivious to the reality of their intentions. The closer they got, the heavier Robert's heart felt, yet he pushed the feeling aside, too determined to think about what he considered necessary for his family's future. Upon arriving, they were met with a stark building that loomed over them. Its faded paint and cold brick walls, a far cry from the warmth of the home they were leaving behind. Inside, the atmosphere was devoid of warmth or care, a reflection of a system stretched too thin. With an envelope full of cash and a hastily scribbled note, they left Ethan behind, the sobs of a child echoing in the silence as they drove away, not looking back. For them, it was a decision made in self-preservation. For Ethan, it was the beginning of a challenging journey. The children's home was a far cry from what a loving family could have offered. It was a place meant to provide basic necessities, yet it was cold and often cruel. The other children quickly made it clear that Ethan was different. The teasing started almost immediately. Cruel laughter followed him down the hallways. Names like monster and freak echoed off the walls, and isolation became his constant companion. Though the staff were well-intentioned, they were overworked and underpaid, seldom able to offer the additional care and support Ethan desperately needed. Days turned into months, and months turned into years. Despite the hardships, Ethan discovered solace in books. The children's home had a small library, a place where he could escape the harsh reality of his life. He would spend hours buried in the pages of countless stories, devouring every book he could find. Fiction became his refuge, allowing him to experience worlds where appearance didn't dictate worth, where heroes emerged from adversity, and where dreams were attainable regardless of one's circumstances. Ethan's intellect became his armor against the world's cruelty. His insatiable curiosity transformed into a thirst for knowledge that set him apart. While the other children may have been focused on games and friendships, Ethan was captivated by the wonders of the universe, the intricacies of human biology, and the potential of the human mind. With every book read, he found a piece of himself, a piece that the world had tried to deny him. As he grew older, his academic achievements began to attract attention. Teachers recognized his potential, often marveling at his ability to absorb information and articulate his thoughts. By the time he reached his teenage years, Ethan had garnered enough accolades to earn a scholarship to a prestigious boarding school, a place that promised a brighter future and the opportunity to break free from the shackles of his past. The day he left the children's home was bittersweet. He felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. While he longed for the chance to prove himself, he couldn't shake the memories of loneliness and pain. But as the bus pulled away, taking him toward a world brimming with promise, he made a silent vow to himself. He would not let his past define him. The scars of abandonment would fuel his ambition, and the cruelty of others would become a catalyst for his transformation. At the boarding school, Ethan flourished. For the first time in his life, he was surrounded by people who valued intellect over appearance. His classmates, motivated by their own aspirations, were far too busy with their own struggles to focus on his. Here, he made friends, true friends, who accepted him for who he was, not how he looked. Encouraged by supportive teachers, he excelled in his studies, often staying late to discuss concepts that fascinated him. Ethan's journey had just begun, and while the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, he was ready to confront them. He dreamed of a future where his facial differences would not define him but rather inspire others. With each passing day, he edged closer to his goal, fueled by the hope that one day he could turn his pain into purpose. And little did he know, the threads of his past were about to weave an unexpected pattern into his future, one that would ultimately bring him face to face with those who had abandoned him all those years ago. A new beginning. The months at Maplewood Preparatory School had transformed Ethan Foster into a beacon of resilience and intellect, illuminating the path he had carved through a challenging childhood. Surrounded by peers who valued hard work and intellect, he flourished, shedding the shadows of his past and stepping into a future full of promise. But while he was thriving academically, the scars of his abandonment still lingered beneath the surface, remnants of a time when his worth was questioned. The day after graduation, Ethan received a letter from a prestigious medical school in New York City, offering him a full scholarship. As he read the words on the page, a sense of disbelief washed over him. This opportunity was not merely a chance to study medicine. It was a validation of his hard work, perseverance, and the belief that he could overcome the odds. He felt a rush of exhilaration, tinged with the apprehension that had followed him throughout his life. Could he truly leave behind the ghosts of his past? Would he find acceptance in a world that often judged based on appearance? He spent that summer preparing for this new chapter, immersing himself in textbooks and volunteering at local clinics. He relished the chance to learn from seasoned professionals, helping those who, like him, faced challenges not just in health but in society's perception of them. Working with patients from diverse backgrounds, Ethan discovered the profound impact he could have on their lives, often merely by offering a kind word or attentive ear. In these moments, he realized that his experiences, though painful, had equipped him with empathy and understanding that would serve him well in his future career. As he packed for medical school, Ethan felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. The impending move to New York City was monumental, a leap into the unknown. He had never lived in a bustling metropolis, and the thought of navigating such an overwhelming environment was daunting. But as he looked around his room, filled with reminders of his journey, he knew he couldn't let fear dictate his choices. On his first day at the medical school, Ethan stood in front of the imposing brick building, the sun reflecting off its windows like a million stars. Students streamed past him, chattering animatedly about their hopes and fears, and he felt a wave of both excitement and apprehension wash over him. He adjusted his backpack, took a deep breath, and stepped inside, ready to embark on this new adventure. The orientation was a whirlwind of information, but it was also filled with camaraderie. As he met his fellow students, he found himself surrounded by individuals from varied backgrounds, each with their own stories of struggle and triumph. Some were passionate about research, while others were drawn to the healing arts. Among them, Ethan felt a sense of belonging that he had longed for throughout his life. One particular classmate, Ava, struck up a conversation with him during lunch. She was bright and outspoken, with an infectious energy that made it easy for Ethan to relax. "So, what made you want to become a doctor?" she asked, curiosity sparking in her eyes. Ethan hesitated, his mind drifting to the memories of his past, the isolation, the pain, and ultimately, the resilience he had built. "I guess it's personal for me," he began slowly. "I grew up in a children's home after my parents. Well, they left me. I want to ensure that no one else feels abandoned. I want to help people feel seen, no matter how they look." Ava's expression softened, and Ethan could see the empathy reflected in her eyes. "That's a beautiful reason. I can't imagine what you went through, but you've turned it into something powerful. I think you'll be an amazing doctor." Her words resonated deeply within him, reinforcing his belief that his past, however painful, was not an anchor dragging him down, but rather a wind at his back, propelling him forward. Over the next few weeks, Ethan found himself enveloped in a whirlwind of classes, clinical skills training, and late-night study sessions with Ava and a few other classmates. They bonded over shared experiences, laughter, and the pressure of their rigorous coursework, forging connections that made the daunting journey feel less isolating. Despite the support of his peers, the specter of judgment still loomed in Ethan's mind. As they interacted with patients in the clinical setting, he couldn't help but wonder if he would be met with the same disdain he had faced in childhood. Would people see him as just a medical student, or would they be distracted by his appearance? The insecurities he thought he had overcome crept back into his thoughts, but he quickly pushed them aside. He was here to learn and to help, and that mattered more than any judgment. One sunny afternoon, Ethan and his classmates were assigned to shadow doctors in a nearby hospital. The bustling environment was both exciting and overwhelming, the air thick with the scent of antiseptic and the sounds of medical equipment beeping rhythmically. As they walked through the corridors, Ethan felt a mix of trepidation and determination. He was eager to immerse himself in this world, to witness firsthand the impact doctors had on their patients' lives. Ethan was assigned to the pediatric ward, where he would observe a doctor working with young patients. As he entered the room, his heart raced at the sight of children in various states of distress, each with their own challenges. One young boy, no more than 6 years old, sat in bed, a cast encasing his arm and a look of confusion on his face. Ethan approached cautiously, smiling at the child, who gazed back with wide eyes. "Hey there, I'm Ethan," he said gently. "What happened to your arm?" The boy hesitated, then spoke in a small voice. "I fell off my bike. It hurts." Ethan knelt beside him, the memories of his own childhood surfacing. "I've fallen off my bike too. It's tough, isn't it? But I promise you, it will get better." As he spoke, the boy's face lit up with a glimmer of hope, and Ethan felt a rush of warmth spread through him. In that moment, he realized he was doing what he had always wanted, to make a difference, to show compassion, and to be there for someone in need. As the doctor entered the room, Ethan observed with fascination how she interacted with the young patient. Her kindness, her ability to soothe the child's fears, and her expertise inspired Ethan. He knew then that he was on the right path. This was where he belonged. Over the next few weeks, as Ethan continued his training, he found himself increasingly drawn to the pediatric field. The resilience of children fascinated him. Their ability to bounce back from adversity mirrored his own journey. He began volunteering at the hospital, spending extra hours after classes to interact with young patients, offering them comfort and encouragement. Each smile he received in return was a reminder of why he was pursuing this path. As the semester wore on, the demands of medical school began to intensify. Late nights studying and preparing for exams became routine, and the weight of expectations felt heavier with each passing day. But through it all, Ethan remained resolute. He had fought hard to reach this point, and he refused to let fatigue or doubt derail him. One evening, while studying late in the library, he noticed Ava sitting at a nearby table, her brow furrowed in concentration. After a moment's hesitation, he walked over. "Hey, you okay?" She looked up, her expression shifting from intense focus to exhaustion. "I'm just feeling a bit overwhelmed. There's so much information to absorb, and I'm worried I won't be able to keep up." Ethan took a seat beside her. "I get it. It's tough. But remember, we're in this together. If you ever want to study together, or go over anything, just let me know. We can help each other out." Ava smiled, her relief palpable. "Thanks, Ethan. That means a lot. I think we all need to remind ourselves we're not alone in this." As they collaborated over the next few weeks, their friendship deepened, and Ethan found comfort in their shared struggles. They would often stay up late, discussing their dreams and fears, and Ethan began to see glimpses of the compassionate doctor he aspired to be reflected in Ava's passion and dedication. Together, they formed a support system that helped them both navigate the pressures of medical school, pushing each other to excel while providing encouragement during moments of doubt. As the semester progressed, Ethan's skills began to flourish. His interactions with patients became increasingly meaningful, and he found joy in making connections with families and offering support. Yet, as the holiday season approached, Ethan felt a familiar pang of loneliness. While his classmates excitedly made plans to return home for the holidays, he was reminded of the family he had lost. The thought of spending Christmas alone weighed heavily on his heart. He had long since accepted the circumstances of his childhood, but the holiday season had a way of amplifying feelings of abandonment. He resolved not to let this sadness overshadow his achievements. Instead, he decided to immerse himself in his studies and volunteer at the hospital, where he could spread joy to the children unable to go home for the holidays. On Christmas Eve, the hospital was quieter than usual, its hallways illuminated by twinkling lights and festive decorations. Ethan donned a Santa hat and volunteered to help distribute gifts to young patients. As he made his way from room to room, he was met with the bright eyes of children excited to receive presents, each moment filling his heart with warmth. In one particular room, he met a girl named Mia, whose wide grin brightened the sterile environment. She was undergoing treatment for leukemia and had spent many holidays in the hospital. Ethan knelt beside her bed, presenting her with a gift. "Merry Christmas, Mia. I hope this brings you some cheer." Mia's eyes sparkled with joy as she tore open the wrapping paper. "Thank you, Ethan. You're like my own Santa." For the first time that season, Ethan felt a sense of belonging. The laughter and smiles of the children enveloped him, reminding him of the joy that could still be found in moments of adversity. In helping others, he found healing for his own heart, a way to channel the pain of his past into something beautiful. As the evening wore on, Ethan returned to the staff lounge, feeling fulfilled yet reflective. His heart was heavy with thoughts of his own family, or lack thereof, but he also felt gratitude for the family he had created with his friends and patients. Ava joined him, her eyes shining with excitement. "Ethan, I just wanted to say I'm really proud of you. You've grown so much since we started, and I can see how much you care about your patients." He smiled, touched by her words. "Thanks, Ava. I feel like this is where I'm meant to be. Even though I miss my family, I'm grateful for moments like this that make me feel connected." As they spoke, Ethan realized that he had found a new family in his friends, classmates, and patients, one built on shared experiences, support, and the pursuit of a common goal. They were all navigating their paths together, each carrying their burdens while lifting each other toward their dreams. It was this newfound sense of belonging that would continue to drive him forward in the chapters to come. Confrontation. The new year brought with it a sense of renewal, but the crisp winter air did little to dispel the chill that had settled in Ethan's heart. Despite his busy life at medical school, he found himself haunted by the memory of the call from his mother, Linda. It had been weeks since they last spoke, yet her voice echoed in his mind, replaying the moment she asked to meet. The weight of that conversation felt heavier with each passing day, and he knew he had to confront it. Ethan spent the days leading up to their meeting immersed in his studies, but the anticipation gnawed at him. What did she want? Why now, after all these years? In his heart, he felt a whirlwind of emotions: anger, confusion, and a flicker of hope. As he prepared for the meeting, he steeled himself for whatever revelations lay ahead. Would she apologize? Would she explain? Or would this encounter shatter the peace he had worked so hard to build? The day of the meeting arrived, shrouded in a haze of uncertainty. Ethan chose a small cafe called the Cornerstone, nestled in the heart of the city. It was a place filled with warmth, its walls adorned with local artwork, and the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafting through the air. He hoped that the familiar surroundings would ease the tension that clung to him. As he entered the cafe, his heart raced. He spotted his mother seated at a table near the window, her fingers nervously twisting a napkin as she glanced around. The years had not been kind. The beauty that once defined her had been replaced by a weary, haunted look. Yet there was something familiar in her eyes, a flicker of the woman who had once held him close. Taking a deep breath, Ethan approached the table. "Mom," he said, his voice steady but quiet. She looked up, and for a brief moment, their eyes met. Then her gaze dropped to the table. "Ethan," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. "Thank you for agreeing to meet." He took a seat, the weight of the years stretching between them. Silence hung in the air like a thick fog, each of them lost in their own thoughts. Finally, Linda broke the stillness. "I wanted to see you, to explain everything." Ethan nodded, the hurt bubbling just beneath the surface. "Why now?" he asked, the question spilling from his lips before he could stop it. "After all this time, why not when I was in that home, feeling alone?" Tears welled in Linda's eyes, and she took a shaky breath. "We were scared, Ethan. Your father and I. We didn't know how to handle the situation. We thought we were doing what was best for you. I was ashamed, and I didn't want anyone to see me as a failure. We were so young, so lost." Ethan clenched his fists, a mix of anger and disbelief surging within him. "You abandoned me, Mom. You chose to leave me behind without even trying. You could have fought for me. You could have found help." "I know," she said, her voice breaking. "I can't change the past, Ethan. I can't undo the pain we caused you. But I thought about you every day. I regret my decisions more than I can express. I came here to ask for your forgiveness." Forgiveness. The word hung in the air, heavy with implications. Ethan had spent years grappling with feelings of rejection and betrayal, and now, as he looked at the woman who had caused him so much pain, he found himself at a crossroads. Part of him wanted to lash out, to make her feel the hurt she had inflicted. Yet, another part of him, a part shaped by the empathy he had cultivated through his experiences, felt the stirrings of compassion. "I've built a life for myself," he said slowly, each word laced with the weight of his journey. "I've fought through so much. I've learned to stand on my own 2 feet. But it doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't erase the years I spent feeling unwanted." "I know," she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I've been so proud of you from a distance. I've watched you grow into an incredible man. And I'm sorry that I wasn't there to support you. I've spent years trying to come to terms with my decisions. I've even tried to reach out to the children's home to see how you were doing, but I was terrified of what I would hear. I was terrified of facing the consequences of my choices." Ethan absorbed her words, the layers of emotion flooding his mind. He thought of the countless nights spent feeling abandoned, the pain of being cast aside by the people who were supposed to love him unconditionally. But he also thought of the resilience he had built, the friendships he had forged, and the purpose he had found in helping others. "I don't know if I can forgive you," he finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I want to understand. I want to know why you and Dad chose to leave me." Linda nodded, her expression earnest. I wish I could explain it in a way that makes sense. It was never about you, Ethan. It was our own fear and insecurities that drove us to that decision. Your father was so focused on his image and his career, and I felt like I was losing myself. We thought it would be easier for everyone involved if we let you go. We thought you'd have a better chance at a normal life." "Normal," Ethan echoed bitterly. "You thought abandoning me would give me a normal life. I was just a scared child, and all I wanted was to be loved, to be accepted. You could have fought for me. Instead, you chose to run." "I know, and I wish I could take it back," she said, her voice trembling with regret. "I never wanted to hurt you. I never wanted to push you away. But life took a turn that I never anticipated, and I lost sight of what truly mattered." For a moment, Ethan felt the walls he had built around his heart waver, the flicker of understanding igniting within him. He could see the remorse etched on her face, the anguish of a mother who had made a grave mistake. Yet that did little to erase the years of suffering he had endured. "Do you even know who I am now?" Ethan asked, his voice trembling with emotion. "I'm not that abandoned child anymore. I'm a medical student, and I'm passionate about helping others. I've turned my pain into purpose. I've built a life for myself, one that doesn't include you or Dad." "I know, and I'm so proud of you," Linda said, her voice breaking. "I watch you from afar, and I am in awe of who you've become. I know I don't deserve to be a part of your life, but I want to be. I want to understand you and learn about the man you've grown into." Ethan felt a conflict raging within him. He was torn between the desire to push her away, to protect himself from further pain, and the longing for connection, for a chance to understand the woman who had once held him in her arms. "Why should I give you that chance?" he asked, his voice laced with defiance. "You made your choice years ago. You didn't fight for me then. Why should I believe you'll fight for me now?" "Because I've spent years regretting my choices," she replied, her voice earnest. "I want to make amends, even if it's just by listening to you. I understand if you don't want me in your life, but I hope you'll let me try. I hope you'll let me show you that I'm not the same person who walked away." Ethan stared at her, the whirlwind of emotions threatening to overwhelm him. He could see the sincerity in her eyes, the depth of her regret. But could he truly trust her? Could he let her back into his life after everything that had happened? In that moment, a memory washed over him. An image of himself as a child, sitting alone in a cold room at the children's home, yearning for the love and acceptance he had been denied. He had spent years learning to embrace his past, to heal from the wounds of abandonment. But this was a new opportunity. An opportunity to confront the ghosts of his past, to seek closure in a way he had never imagined. "I'm not saying I'll forgive you," he said finally, the words heavy on his tongue. "But I'm willing to try to understand. I'm willing to give you a chance to show me who you are now. But it will take time. You'll have to prove that you're worth it." Linda nodded, hope flickering in her eyes. "Thank you, Ethan. I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust." As they sat in that small cafe, surrounded by laughter and the clinking of dishes, Ethan felt a weight lift off his shoulders. It was not a solution to all this pain, but it was a step toward healing, a step toward rebuilding a connection that had long been severed. The road ahead would not be easy. Forgiveness and trust were delicate threads, frayed by years of hurt. But as he looked into the eyes of the woman who had once abandoned him, he realized that perhaps this was the beginning of a new chapter, a chance for redemption, not just for her, but for him as well. Healing. As the days turned into weeks, Ethan navigated the delicate balance of rebuilding his relationship with Linda. Each encounter was a careful dance, teetering between hope and apprehension. They met at the same cafe where their journey began, the familiar aroma of coffee and the soft chatter of patrons creating an atmosphere of warmth and comfort. Yet, within the walls of the cafe, their conversations felt heavy, each word laden with unspoken fears and desires. Ethan approached their meetings with cautious optimism. He had set boundaries, expressing the need for honesty and patience, Linda respected his wishes, often arriving with a prepared list of questions and reflections, an indication of her commitment to understanding the chasm between them. However, even as they delved into discussions of the past, Ethan felt a nagging concern. Could he truly trust her after everything? One chilly afternoon, as snowflakes danced outside the cafe window, Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the conversation ahead. "Mom," he began, trying to keep his tone steady, "I think it's important for us to talk about what happened after I was taken to the children's home." Linda nodded, her eyes reflecting both remorse and anticipation. "Yes, I've thought about that day every moment since. I want to hear everything you have to say. I need to understand your experience." The tension in the air thickened as Ethan recalled his memories. "I remember the day vividly. I was 5 years old, and I didn't understand why you and Dad left me. I remember feeling scared and alone, wondering if I had done something wrong. I thought if I were different, if I looked more like the other kids, maybe you would have wanted to keep me." A tear slipped down Linda's cheek, and Ethan felt a surge of emotion. "Ethan, you have to know it was never about you. It was our failure as parents. Your father and I let our own insecurities dictate our actions. We didn't see the beautiful child you were. We only saw what we feared others would see." "That doesn't excuse your choice, Mom," Ethan replied, his voice firm but tinged with pain. "You left me without a second thought, and I spent years trying to find my place in a world that constantly reminded me of my differences. The kids at the home bullied me, and the staff didn't care. I felt invisible, like a ghost drifting through life, watching everyone else feel love and acceptance while I stood on the outside." Linda lowered her head, guilt washing over her. "I wish I could take away that pain, Ethan. I can't imagine what you went through, but I want to understand. I want to know how you managed to survive those years." Ethan hesitated, contemplating whether to share the deeper scars etched into his heart. "It was hard. I found solace in books and learning. The library became my sanctuary. I read about incredible people who overcame obstacles and fought against the odds. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to believe that I could create a life worth living, regardless of how I looked." Linda's expression softened. "You're incredible, Ethan. The strength you displayed as a child is something I admire. I've seen it in your work as a medical student too. You're becoming a healer, just like you wanted." "Maybe," Ethan replied, his heart swelling with pride. "But I also had my demons. I struggled with feelings of inadequacy and loneliness. There were nights I would lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering why I wasn't enough. I yearned for a family to love me, to embrace my differences, but instead, I was left to navigate a cruel world alone." The atmosphere around them felt charged with emotion, and Linda reached across the table, her hand trembling as it hovered over Ethan's. "I can't undo what we did, but I want to help you heal. I want to be here for you now, to show you that you're worthy of love and belonging. You deserve it, Ethan." As he looked into her eyes, Ethan felt a mixture of hope and fear. Could he allow himself to be vulnerable with her? Could he open up about the deep-seated pain that had shaped his life? The thought both terrified and exhilarated him. "I appreciate that, Mom," he said finally, pulling his hand away to collect his thoughts. "But it won't be easy. I still have a lot of walls built up, and I need time to process everything. I want to let you in, but I'm not sure how." Linda nodded, a look of understanding crossing her face. "I'm willing to wait as long as it takes. Just know that I'm here, and I'm committed to making things right." Their conversation continued, weaving through memories of the past, sharing laughter and shedding tears. As they spoke, the walls between them began to crumble, revealing glimpses of the relationship they could build together. For the first time in a long while, Ethan felt a sense of hope blossoming in his heart, a feeling that perhaps, just perhaps, he could redefine the narrative of his life. The following weeks saw their relationship evolve, moving from painful conversations about the past to more uplifting discussions about the future. They began exploring shared interests, such as cooking, Linda introduced Ethan to her favorite recipes, and they found joy in creating meals together, laughter echoing through the kitchen as they tried to keep flour from flying everywhere. These moments of connection slowly replaced some of the heavy conversations about their painful past. "Cooking is an art, Ethan," Linda exclaimed one evening as they prepared a lasagna together. "It's about love and passion. You have to put your heart into it." Ethan chuckled, trying not to let the sauce splatter. "Maybe my heart needs to stay out of the kitchen if we want to avoid a mess." They shared stories, discussing their favorite ingredients and the memories associated with them. Cooking became a safe space for them to connect, to laugh, and to learn about each other beyond the pain of abandonment. As they continued to explore this new dynamic, Ethan found himself opening up more. He shared stories of his time in medical school, his dreams of becoming a surgeon, and the passion that fueled his desire to help others. Linda listened intently, her eyes shining with pride. "You're going to make an incredible doctor, Ethan. I can already see the compassion you have for others." Yet, with each moment of joy, the specter of abandonment lingered at the edges of their interactions. Ethan was reminded that trust could not be built overnight. It required patience and consistency. As the weeks unfolded, he watched Linda closely, noting her commitment to showing up for him. She was making a genuine effort to be a part of his life, but doubt still loomed in the corners of his mind. One evening, as they sat in the cafe, sipping hot chocolate, Ethan decided to confront those lingering feelings. "Mom, I want to talk about something that's been weighing on me," he began, his voice steady yet vulnerable. "Of course," she replied, concern etching her features. "What's on your mind?" "I'm grateful for the time we spent together and for your efforts to connect. But I still struggle with trust. It's hard for me to fully believe that you won't abandon me again. I worry that this is just a phase for you, that once things get tough, you'll disappear like before." Linda's expression softened, a wave of understanding washing over her. "Ethan, I understand why you feel that way. I can't change the past, but I want to prove to you that I'm here to stay. I'm not going anywhere this time. I've spent too long regretting my choices to let you slip away again." The sincerity in her voice touched something deep within him. Ethan nodded, feeling a surge of emotion. "I want to believe you, but it's going to take time. I need to see you consistently show up for me." "I can do that," Linda replied firmly, determination shining in her eyes. "I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. I know it won't be easy, but I'm committed to this journey." Ethan felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. Perhaps, through patience and perseverance, they could forge a new relationship built on mutual respect and understanding. He realized that healing was not just about confronting the pain of the past, but also about embracing the possibility of a brighter future. As winter transitioned into spring, Ethan continued to navigate the complexities of his relationship with Linda. He began to feel more comfortable allowing her into his life, inviting her to campus events and introducing her to his friends. He wanted to show her the man he had become, a man who had fought against the odds and found his purpose. One weekend, Ethan organized a charity event for a local organization that provided support for underprivileged children. He was excited to bring Linda along, believing it would provide a glimpse into his world of healing and compassion. The event was a success, filled with laughter, camaraderie, and an outpouring of support from the community. As the evening progressed, Ethan noticed Linda interacting with his friends, sharing stories, and engaging in conversations that felt genuine. He watched as she embraced his passion for helping others, her enthusiasm infectious. In that moment, he saw glimpses of the mother he had longed for, a woman who was dedicated, compassionate, and willing to fight for a better future. After the event, as they walked through the quiet streets, Linda turned to Ethan, her expression filled with admiration. "I'm so proud of you, Ethan. You've built something incredible, and I'm grateful to have witnessed it." "Thank you, Mom," he replied, a sense of warmth filling his heart. "This means a lot to me. I'm learning to see you in a new light, too." In the weeks that followed, They continued to explore the depths of their relationship. Their conversations grew deeper and more meaningful as they shared their dreams, fears, and aspirations. They began to talk about the future, about family, love, and the possibility of building a new legacy together. Ethan realized that while the road ahead would be challenging, he was ready to embrace the journey of healing alongside his mother. As they stood on the precipice of a new chapter, the weight of their past began to lift, replaced by a sense of hope and possibility. They both understood that the scars of abandonment would take time to heal, but together they could navigate the complexities of their relationship, building a bond that could withstand the test of time. With patience, empathy, and a willingness to confront their past, Ethan and Linda embarked on a journey toward redemption, a path filled with love, forgiveness, and the promise of a brighter future. The turning point. As spring unfurled its vibrant hues, Ethan found himself not only deepening his connection with Linda, but also navigating the demanding world of medical school. With each passing day, he became more adept at balancing his studies and his newfound relationship, a feat that required immense effort but yielded rewarding results. The emotional growth he experienced with his mother fueled his academic ambitions, allowing him to thrive in a field he had longed to enter. His days were filled with lectures, labs, and clinical rotations, each moment reminding him of the path he had chosen. However, it was during his surgical rotation that he faced a turning point, a moment that would forever alter his perspective on healing, compassion, and the essence of family. The day began like any other, the early morning light filtering through the windows of the hospital, casting a warm glow on the sterile environment. Ethan donned his scrubs, excitement and nervousness swirling within him. This was his first opportunity to observe a complex surgical procedure, and he felt a mixture of anticipation and responsibility. He had always dreamed of being the surgeon, of wielding the power to heal, but today felt particularly significant. As he stood in the surgical suite, he marveled at the precision of the surgical team. The lead surgeon, Dr. Harris, was renowned for his skill and expertise, but it was his approach to patient care that captivated Ethan. Dr. Harris had a unique ability to connect with patients and their families, often taking time to explain procedures and address their fears. Ethan admired this compassionate demeanor, recognizing that it was essential for a healer. The operation began, and Ethan's focus sharpened. He observed the intricate dance of hands, the beeping monitors, and the sterile instruments glistening under the bright lights. As the lead surgeon worked, he turned to Ethan and shared insights, making sure to involve him in the process. Ethan, remember, surgery isn't just about the procedure. It's about the person on the table. Every stitch we make is a step toward healing, not just physically, but emotionally. Those words resonated deeply with Ethan, echoing the journey he had taken with Linda. Healing was multifaceted. It extended beyond the body and into the realm of the heart and soul. As the operation progressed, Ethan noticed the patient's family in the waiting area, anxiety etched on their faces. He felt an overwhelming urge to bridge the gap between the surgical team and the family. "Dr. Harris," Ethan interjected gently, "what if we had someone from the team go and talk to the family? They must be worried." Dr. Harris paused, his gaze shifting from the patient to Ethan, a smile breaking across his face. "That's an excellent idea. It's vital to keep families informed. Let's send our nurse to provide an update." Ethan's heart swelled with pride as he witnessed the positive impact of his suggestion. It was a small yet significant step, one that underscored his desire to ensure that compassion and empathy were at the forefront of his medical career. After the surgery, Dr. Harris pulled Ethan aside. "You're going to make an exceptional doctor, Ethan. Your ability to see beyond the procedure and recognize the humanity in your patients sets you apart." The compliment fueled Ethan's determination. He began to envision a future where he could integrate his personal experiences with the professional skills he was developing. The journey of healing was personal to him, and he wanted to bring that sense of understanding to his future patients. As the weeks rolled on, Ethan immersed himself in his studies while continuing to strengthen his relationship with Linda. They began to attend workshops together on family dynamics and communication, eager to learn how to foster a healthier bond. Each session was a revelation, providing tools that allowed them to navigate their past and build a brighter future together. One evening, as they returned from a particularly enlightening workshop, Ethan felt inspired to share a pivotal moment from his childhood, one that shaped his understanding of love and belonging. "Mom," he began, his voice steady yet vulnerable, "I want to tell you about a time that really impacted me while I was in the children's home." Linda turned to him, her eyes wide with interest. "I'd love to hear it." "It was during the holidays, a time when everyone seemed to celebrate family," he recalled, his heart aching at the memory. "I remember watching the other kids receive visitors, families coming in with gifts and laughter. I was so jealous." One evening, a volunteer brought cookies and hot chocolate. While the other kids were busy with their families, I sat in a corner, feeling invisible. I thought maybe if I just stayed quiet, I wouldn't draw attention to myself. Linda listened intently, her expression a mix of sadness and understanding. What happened next? Ethan took a deep breath, the memory flooding back. The volunteer noticed me sitting alone and came over. She knelt down to my level and asked me what I wanted for Christmas. I hesitated, but she smiled and encouraged me to share. I told her I wanted a family, just like the other kids had. She didn't say anything for a moment, and I felt my heart sink. But then she hugged me tightly and said, "You are worthy of love, Ethan. Never forget that." Tears glistened in Linda's eyes as Ethan continued. That moment shifted something inside me. It made me realize that I was deserving of love, regardless of how I looked. It sparked a fire in me to push through the pain and to dream of a future where I could be surrounded by people who accepted me for who I was. "That's so powerful, Ethan," Linda whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I'm so sorry you felt that way. I wish I could have been there for you, to remind you of your worth." "It's okay, Mom," he said gently, reaching for her hand. "I know you're here now, and I'm learning to let go of the past. That's what this journey is all about, right? Healing and moving forward." Their conversations deepened as they explored the layers of their relationship. Linda began to share her own experiences, revealing her struggles with self-esteem and the societal pressures she faced as a young woman. "I was always told that I needed to look a certain way, to maintain an image that others would admire. It became exhausting, and I projected that insecurity onto you, believing you would somehow reflect my failures." "I get that now," Ethan replied thoughtfully. "We're both on our own journeys to redefine what love and acceptance mean to us. It's not about our appearances. It's about the connections we foster." Together, they began to build a foundation of mutual respect, understanding, and love. Linda often joined Ethan in his volunteer work, reaching out to families in need. They organized fundraisers, collected donations, and created awareness about the challenges faced by children in the foster care system. It was during these events that they both found purpose and fulfillment. One afternoon, as they set up a booth for a local charity event, Ethan noticed a young girl lingering nearby, her eyes wide with curiosity. She looked to be about 6 years old, with tangled hair and worn clothes. Ethan's heart ached at the sight. He saw so much of his younger self in her. "Hey there," he called gently, crouching down to her level. "Would you like a cookie?" The girl hesitated, glancing at Linda before nodding shyly. "Thank you," she whispered, reaching for the cookie. As she took a bite, her face lit up with delight. A legacy of compassion. As summer rolled in, bringing warmth and vitality to the town, Ethan felt the stirrings of ambition within him. He and Linda had spent months nurturing their relationship, transforming the wounds of their past into a shared vision of hope. With the long days ahead, Ethan knew it was the perfect time to take his aspirations beyond personal healing and towards a legacy that could uplift others. He was determined to create a program that would help children from disadvantaged backgrounds, just like the ones he had once encountered in the children's home. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the town, Ethan sat down with Linda to share his ideas. "Mom, I've been thinking a lot about how I can make a real difference in the lives of children who faced similar struggles to mine. I want to create a mentorship program that connects them with role models, people who can show them that they are worthy of love and success, regardless of their circumstances." Linda's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. "Ethan, that's an incredible idea. You've been through so much, and you have a unique perspective to offer. You can inspire them in ways that no one else can." The two spent hours brainstorming, fueled by excitement and a shared sense of purpose. They envisioned workshops that would focus not only on academic achievement, but also on emotional resilience, self-esteem, and personal growth. Ethan wanted to create a space where children could feel safe to share their stories, learn from others, and find strength in their shared experiences. Over the next few weeks, Ethan poured his energy into building the framework for the program. He reached out to local schools, community centers, and businesses, seeking partnerships and sponsorships. With Linda by his side, they organized community meetings to gather support and recruit volunteers, mentors who would be willing to invest their time and energy into shaping the lives of these children. As word spread about Ethan's initiative, he was met with overwhelming support. Local businesses contributed funds, and volunteers signed up eagerly, inspired by Ethan's passion and vision. They were drawn to his story, how he had overcome adversity, and emerged stronger, ready to give back to the community that had once failed him. One afternoon, while attending a local community fair, Ethan met a man named Marcus, who was the owner of a successful tech company. Marcus was a former foster child himself and had spent years mentoring young people in similar situations. The moment they connected, Ethan felt an instant rapport. Marcus's story resonated deeply with Ethan, as he understood firsthand the struggles of feeling unworthy and overlooked. "Ethan, I love what you're doing. Your vision for this mentorship program is something I wish I had when I was growing up," Marcus said, his voice filled with sincerity. "I'd like to help in any way I can. We can organize workshops focused on technology and entrepreneurship, inspiring these kids to see the possibilities ahead of them." Ethan's excitement bubbled over. "That would be amazing. Your experience could show them that they can create their own futures, no matter where they come from." As summer progressed, the mentorship program began to take shape. They named it Bright Futures, a fitting title that reflected their commitment to illuminating the path for children who had been lost in the shadows. Ethan coordinated workshops and events, while Linda worked tirelessly on the logistics, ensuring every detail was attended to. Their collaboration deepened their bond, creating a dynamic partnership that extended beyond mother and son. They were now allies on a shared mission. The launch event for Bright Futures was set for the first week of fall, and Ethan felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as the day approached. He had invited families, community leaders, and local media to attend, hoping to raise awareness and gather more support. In the days leading up to the event, he felt a surge of determination, knowing that this was more than just a program. It was a chance to change lives. On the day of the event, the community center buzzed with anticipation. Colorful banners decorated the walls, and tables were set up with information about the program, volunteer opportunities, and upcoming workshops. Ethan stood at the entrance, his heart racing as people began to arrive. As he welcomed guests, he was struck by the diverse group of attendees, families from various backgrounds, local leaders, and mentors eager to lend their support. The atmosphere was filled with hope and excitement. As the crowd gathered, Ethan stepped up to the podium, ready to share his vision. "Thank you all for being here today," he began, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. "I stand before you not just as a future doctor, but as someone who has walked the path of abandonment and pain. I was once a child in a system that often overlooked my worth, but I'm here to tell you that we can change that. Together, we can create a community where every child knows they are valued, loved, and capable of achieving their dreams." The audience listened intently, drawn in by Ethan's authenticity. He shared his journey, his struggles, and the pivotal moments that had shaped him into the person he was today. The Bright Futures program is about more than just mentorship. It's about building relationships, fostering resilience, and creating a support system for our children. It's about giving them the tools they need to thrive and showing them that they are never alone. As he spoke, Ethan noticed several children from the community watching him with wide eyes. He felt a deep connection to them, a reminder of his own past. After his speech, he invited the children to join him on stage, encouraging them to share their aspirations and dreams. One by one, they stepped up, their voices trembling yet filled with determination. "I want to be a veterinarian," one girl declared, her face beaming with pride. "I want to be an astronaut," another chimed in, sparking cheers from the crowd. Ethan's heart swelled with pride as he watched them step into their power, feeling the support of the community surrounding them. This was exactly what he had envisioned, a space where children could express themselves freely and know that their dreams mattered. The event continued with activities, games, and opportunities for attendees to sign up as mentors. Families mingled, sharing stories and building connections. Ethan and Linda moved through the crowd, their hearts filled with gratitude. They had turned their personal journeys into something powerful and meaningful. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the gathering, Ethan reflected on how far he had come. He had transformed his pain into purpose, using his experiences to inspire others. In that moment, he realized that this was just the beginning. Bright Futures had the potential to grow beyond their small town, reaching children in need across the country. In the weeks that followed, Bright Futures flourished. The first series of workshops kicked off, and the response was overwhelming. Children attended with eager smiles, ready to learn and connect with their mentors. Ethan facilitated discussions on self-esteem, resilience, and the importance of dreaming big. With each session, he saw the children's confidence grow, their spirits lifted by the support surrounding them. Linda played a crucial role as well, offering her organizational skills and warmth. She became a familiar face at the workshops, sharing her own stories of overcoming challenges and reminding the children that they were never alone in their struggles. One evening, after a particularly successful workshop, Ethan and Linda returned home, both buzzing with excitement. "Mom, I can't believe how much progress the kids are making. It's incredible to witness their transformations," Ethan said, his eyes shining with passion. Linda smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "You've done something amazing, Ethan. You've created a safe haven for them. I believe this program will continue to change lives, just like it changed yours." As they settled in for the evening, Ethan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had stepped into his purpose, not only as a future doctor, but as a mentor and advocate for children who needed someone to believe in them. He realized that his journey wasn't just about personal healing. It was about creating a ripple effect of compassion that would extend far beyond himself. In the months that followed, Bright Futures expanded its reach, garnering attention from local media and even national organizations. Ethan began to receive invitations to speak at events, sharing his story and advocating for the importance of mentorship and support for vulnerable children. During one of these events, Ethan met a representative from a national children's advocacy organization who expressed interest in partnering with Bright Futures. "Your program has the potential to be a model for mentorship initiatives across the country," the representative said, excitement evident in their voice. "We'd love to work with you to expand this program and help even more children." Ethan's heart raced at the possibility. This was the opportunity he had dreamed of, a chance to magnify the impact of Bright Futures and reach children in need across the nation. He and Linda worked tirelessly to develop a proposal outlining their vision and the success they had already achieved within their community. As the partnership blossomed, they began training additional mentors and adapting their workshops to reach a broader audience. Each new partnership brought fresh resources, allowing them to enhance their curriculum and provide even more support for the children involved. One evening, as Ethan reviewed plans for upcoming workshops, he received a call from an unfamiliar number. "Hello, is this Ethan Foster?" A warm voice inquired. "Yes, this is he," Ethan replied, intrigued. "Ethan, my name is Dr. Matthews, and I'm a pediatric surgeon at a leading children's hospital. I came across your program, and I'm impressed by the work you're doing. I'd love to discuss how we might collaborate to provide health education and mentorship for the children in your program." Ethan's excitement surged. "That sounds incredible. We've been looking to incorporate health education into our workshops." As they spoke, Ethan felt the energy of possibility swirling around him. This was what he had envisioned, a network of support that extended to every aspect of a child's life. They scheduled a meeting to discuss how they could integrate health education into the Bright Futures program, aiming to provide not just emotional support, but also knowledge about health and wellness. As Ethan lay in bed that night, he reflected on the journey he had embarked upon. From the lonely child in a children's home to the founder of a thriving mentorship program, he felt gratitude for every challenge he had faced. Each experience had forged his path, shaping him into a compassionate leader who was determined to create change. Ethan closed his eyes, imagining a future where Bright Futures would continue to grow, reaching children who felt lost and alone. With Linda by his side, he knew they could accomplish anything. Together, they were crafting a legacy of compassion, one that would inspire generations to come. And as he drifted off to sleep, Ethan felt a sense of peace wash over him, knowing that he was exactly where he was meant to be, ready to embrace the adventures that awaited him and the lives he would touch.